Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guests are Hersh Rai and Nicholas Vu. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks so much for having us, Whitney. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm really glad to be here as well.
Hersh and Nicholas are managing partners of Veteran Pride Investment Group, a commercial real estate firm focused on market rate and affordable housing acquisitions. Both Hersh and Nick are graduates from the United States Naval Academy and are currently studying at Purdue University for their master's degrees prior to operational service. They found their passion in commercial real estate due to aligned values with the Veteran Pride Investment Group mission through helping within communities via impact investing. Currently, the firm donates 20% of its profits to nationally recognized veteran and first responder charities. Guys, welcome to the show. I just want to be the first to say thank you for your service. Just very grateful for that. And I understand the commitment that's required to make that happen, and look forward to hearing more about that and how, just this transition and how you're growing your real estate business, doing all these things at the same time. I know the listeners, we're getting into this business. Everybody's wondering, how do I manage all these things? How do I make this happen? You all have a great testimony to juggling all those plates at the same time. But give us a little more about who you all are and what you're up to right now. And let's dive into just to who you are, your business.
Sure. Thanks, Whitney, for having us. Pleasure to be here. You have a great show, and we're really looking forward to a great conversation today. So I'm Hersh Rai. I am originally from India, but born and raised in New Hampshire for the past 22 years. I went to the Naval Academy, like you said, and I graduated as a cryptologic warfare officer and commissioned, now pursuing my master's in computer and information technology. And while I've been at Purdue, I've had the opportunity to explore a lot of self-interest and growth. And through that, I've found real estate investing, specifically commercial multifamily, focusing on syndication and joint venture partnerships. And I've been able to establish a lot of great relationships and lifelong connections along the way. So really excited to share my story with you guys.
And I'm Nicholas Vu. I guess I was originally from Redondo Beach, California, which is a beach town just outside of Los Angeles. And yeah, like Hersh, just similar to Hersh, I also went to the Naval Academy and now here at Purdue pursuing masters in mechanical engineering. So I guess as Hersh mentioned, we both kind of got interested in real estate because we got an interest in finance and stuff like that as starting off. And as members of the military, we learned about the VA loan and some of the benefits that we get as military members have. And I kind of got us a foot in the door into real estate, but it wasn't until we kind of got exposed to commercial multifamily through the active passive income group and through other members in there who kind of taught us that people like us can also invest in commercial multifamily. And we were really fortunate to find Veteran Pride Investing Group and be able to align ourselves with that mission and really dive headfirst into commercial multifamily. And now we have potentially a deal under contract, and we're excited to get started in this business. So we're really excited to really grow in this space and really continue learning, honestly.
So guys, why pursue a multifamily business right now when you all are, you're active duty, you're working, and also pursuing your master's? I mean, you have so much going on, right? Why right now?
Sure, that's a great question. So, we like to bring it back to August of 2019. Nick and I had first stepped onto campus at Purdue, and we realized that, we had only I think I had class twice a week. Nick had class 3 times a week, if I'm not wrong. And we were just like, it's a lot of time that we have to ourselves outside of the normal academy time. From waking up at 5:30 to sleeping at the wee hours of the morning before you have to wake up again and do it all over. Being at Purdue, we really had the opportunity to explore our own interest, like I said, and it allowed us to branch into other areas. Graduate school is very self-focused and self-directed. So it's what you make of your time is the best use of your time. So, working on classes and doing your thesis, I'm not going to say it wasn't as much work as the academy, but there is a little bit more free time, not having as many military obligations during the day. So that allowed us the time and the energy and to build our knowledge into the business and to really identify what kind of area we want to focus on in real estate and to achieve financial literacy and growth.
And to add on to that, we kind of realized the benefits of multifamily pretty early on, like how the economies of scale could let you really grow your business a lot quicker, and also honestly make a bigger impact. Because kind of what they mentioned with the Veteran Investing Group, they donate 20% of the profits back to charities. And as members of the military ourselves, it kind of hurts us knowing that there are people like homeless veterans who just don't have a place to live. And we kind of want to give back to the community in some way, either through direct donations to these charities or by benefiting the community by improving the areas and even potentially provide housing for some of these places. So we found out that by aligning ourselves with this company, we could actually make a bigger impact with the little time we have here. So we really like multifamily because of those reasons.
Speak to, I know we're going to talk about, like finding deals and getting your current deal under contract a little bit, but speak to a little bit about just managing your time and how to make that happen, and we'll get into maybe deal sourcing a little bit while doing all these other things. But how do you manage your time? How do you all communicate? How do you know who's doing what? Things like that.
Yeah, definitely. So honestly, Google Calendar and Trello have been super helpful. Just being able to time block your schedule, because as Hersh mentioned, going from the academy to here, there's a lot more fluidity and flexibility, and honestly kind of more rope to hang yourself with. So there were some times early on when I just slept like until 10 and stuff and didn't really utilize my time to the best of its ability. So I've learned to kind of block off certain times, like, okay, this time is dedicated for real estate and this time is dedicated for my research, and then okay, maybe night times has some meetings, reading some books, do that kind of stuff. So I really learned how to kind of honestly just like people say time blocking, but really just getting your calendar out and finding which times of the days you have free to do what you need to do. And with Trello, we kind of started picking that up recently, but be able to find out each deal, see which stage it's at, and kind of allocate certain parts. Like, okay, this underwriting right now is with me. Afterwards, maybe for this current deal, for example, okay, I'll be contacting the insurance broker, and then Hersh is the one contacting maybe the brokers to get financing. So we kind of have certain roles in our team that really help each other out, and from that kind of flow, I guess, we're able to manage this best of our ability.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that, Whitney, that our major concepts all boil down to time management. Coming from a military school or a military academy, you learn how to definitely effectively manage your time, whether it's working on the weekends while you're over there and trying to find, the 2-hour window to relax, or whether you have to power through your capstone in order to get to the finish line before graduation over there. There's a lot of different avenues to explore with time management, and, the failures, they're not failures, they're learning opportunities, which, will help you structure how you move forward. And, we've kept an open line of communication with our team, whether it be on a group chat, Google Drive is our lifeline. We use that to coordinate a lot of different projects and tasks, as well as Trello. So it's using the technology that's available to you and trying to keep that open line of communication. And, if one of us can't do something that day, then one of us will pick up the slack and try to make sure that we're all doing our fair share to make sure that, the deal is able to cross the finish line at the end of the day.
Well, speak about, this current deal, maybe how you found it, how you're doing some deal sourcing.
Sure. So, the current deal we're working on, it's a smaller project over in Indianapolis. We actually got it from a off-market broker relationship that we have. Those guys are also similar to RAs. They're 23 and they're known as the cash flow cowboys. Shout out to Zach and Justin for all the hard work you guys put in. They're a great team, and Nick and I built a relationship with them, pre-COVID, just on some phone calls, and we really got to know them, who they are, what they're about. And they had said, hey, we have an off-market property coming to fruition here in Indianapolis, in a great neighborhood, if I have to say. And we were able to go tour the asset, place an offer, and we were actually just got the accepted LOI yesterday. So we're working on the project to go under contract here, hopefully by the end of the week. So that's how we got that deal. But, we do have a multitude of other deals that we have sourced direct to seller. And Nick, if you want to touch on those.
Yeah, sure. So you get a lot of off-market deals, and we start off by doing a lot of cold calling. So kind of just going through a list, numbers, and going through just calling every single one of them and seeing if they're interested in selling. And we did some direct mail marketing as well. And we found some success in that. We did go into contract for another property once, but one fell through during due diligence. Another, I guess, had other issues as well. But we're still optimistic about it because we're trying to expand our cold calling, not just to Indianapolis, but also other markets like Northwest Arkansas. And we have a few lined up, I guess, lists and places lined up that we're interested in investing in. Yeah, but honestly,
where do you find these lists?
So the lists come from two places, Whitney. The first one is going to be List Source, by CoreLogic. It's a really great resource that a lot of different investors use. And, what we like to do is we like to, put in our criteria. List Source does a really great job of allowing you to put in, 20 plus units, the vintage, is there a lien on the property or not? Is it owned outright? And, that's one way we get our list. The other one is just local tax assessors' offices. You'd be surprised the amount of information that these tax assessor offices have and are willing to give you. Some of them, might require you to pay, but, for most of our success, if you find the right person on the right day, they're willing to share with you some information, whether it be on the tax structure and, how they classify their properties. I mean, for example, where we are at school at Purdue, we did look at student housing for a while, and we contacted the local tax assessor and we said, hey, can you share us, any apartment that's, over 5 units? And they said, hey, we can do it based on 20 units, 30 units, 40 units. And they were pretty accurate with their numbers, and they were able to guide us through that process and how we can pull lists off their site. So, it all depends on finding the right person at the right time to be able to guide you through that process.
Tell us a little bit about just the relationship with, say, the investor or veteran Pride investment group, how that works as far as, you all partnering with that group.
Cool. Nick, go for it.
Okay. So I guess it kind of started off, honestly, like almost a year ago to the date, honestly. So as I mentioned, we're active in the active duty passive income group, and we kind of found Veteran Pride Investing Group kind of like on a whim. We found the owner right now is Colby, and we kind of just reached out to him and said, hey, like, we are young and eager to learn. We know you have a bunch of holdings and we want to honestly just learn from you. And from that relationship we built with him, we kind of started off as like underwriters, and then by adding value to the team, honestly, he kind of saw that we have this passion and this eagerness to learn, that he kind of like took us on his wing and started to teach us more and more about the business. And yeah, I guess we started off as like a junior underwriter, but by adding value to the team, we kind of became full-time members. And we're actually in talks now to actually officially legally join the group and be like part-time owners of the company as well. So it's kind of really cool seeing us starting off like really like that's bottom of the totem pole, and by just honestly just by hustling and by putting the effort in, we were able to learn more of the business and really become involved in the group.
So you joined this group. So ultimately you gained some mentorship, it sounds like, a little bit, but then also probably other parts of the deal process that maybe you don't have yet. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, Whitney. I would say, Colby brought us in as a mentorship role initially, and it was more of a learning opportunity to start out with, finding ways that we can add value to the business, whether it's going to be deal sourcing, underwriting, capital raising, all the pillars that are involved with getting a multifamily deal through the finish line and then incorporating your business plan. But I would say that, we are still learning, and, we are definitely not experts in this field by any means. We still have to go through a full deal cycle, whether it be a syndication, a joint venture. But we are continuously learning, educating ourselves, connecting with other investors who have been successful in the space, through 08 or even before then, and listening to podcasts such as yours, just getting the perspective and making sure that we're able to hear multiple facets, whether it's successes, failures, or everything in between. We're just trying to make sure that we can get every single perspective so we don't make the same mistakes, but we also could teach people on the way.
No, it's awesome. We talk often on the show about having the mentorship or partnering, things like that, and how that just speeds your success up so much and gives you so much more confidence, right? Because you have somebody kind of in the ring with you that's been there and done that, and has had to fight many battles, right, ahead of you. So it gives you confidence. Guys, what's really been the hardest part of this journey getting to this first deal?
Yeah, I can touch on that a little bit. I mean, the hardest part is, seeing a great deal collapse. We, like Nick said, we've had two properties now in Indianapolis that one we put under due diligence and one that we were pretty close to putting under contract that was over the span of 5 months. That property owner had just taken his time over the summer to spend with his family, which is very respectable. But at the end of the day, the price was risen about 25% and we weren't able to come to terms. But I'd say the most frustrating thing for sure is just, seeing a deal go through due diligence and then you identify a lot of different, problems with the property. This deal, this 39 unit that we're talking about, it had a lot of deferred maintenance, typical slumlording is what you can call it. And they had owned it 28 years outright. But, seeing that fall through, after all that hard work was a little frustrating, but, we just said, okay, it's a learning opportunity. We learned a great deal, through due diligence, meeting inspectors, meeting contractors, learning how to walk the units, from our experienced team. And we just took that and said, all right, we're going to apply it to the next one. And, COVID has made it really tough. Obviously, people are overpaying for a lot of properties, but, we trusted our numbers and, we hope that we found the right deal now with the one that we're pursuing. So
why did that one fall through?
Nick?
Oh, so the 39 fell through because honestly, we're not really truthful about a lot of things. So they said, we replaced all the roofs recently, like all this CapEx is already taken care of. But we got a roof inspector up there. He said we have to replace all the roofs. Like some of the foundation, a lot of foundation issues. Like this place didn't even have gutters, so you definitely this 28 years of neglect, I guess, is all the subfloors are caving in and. They're just straight up like weren't honest with us. Like, we replaced all the HVAC systems like a couple years ago, but they definitely didn't look like that.
Wow.
And it kind of took them a lot of months to send us like all the financials, all the like information that we needed. And so that ended up falling through. But again, we had a really good lawyer who protected us essentially, who didn't make earnest money hard even after due diligence. So it was really good for that case. Honestly, this deal that we're getting off a broker is just a breath of fresh air because we actually knew the sellers and the brokers really well. So kind of that relationship, we've got that trust, I guess, we've built with them. They've been super responsive to us. And honestly, this experience has been a lot better than I guess direct to seller. So I guess the pros and cons of direct to seller is you don't have that intermediary and you kind of have to trust their word on a lot of things. And I guess, again, like with the mom and pop shops, they might not have the best accounting and information up front. Like we had to sit in a hotel room with all utility bills and like month-to-month statements and like break down, like pretty much make our own T12 and really verify what they actually said because we just didn't trust them.
What a great learning experience right there. Wow. I mean, I think that really paid you all so much moving forward. I know in the moment it's so frustrating, right? But that broker relation is so important and can provide so much value. I know you can find deals sometimes, maybe get them cheaper, without going through a broker potentially. But however, most of our deals have been through brokers and I don't know where we'd been without some of those relationships. And so, they help that seller kind of get prepared, right, mentally for what's about to happen. We need these documents, we need this information, so that can be handed to you, the buyer. But tell us, what would you have done different now on that deal, now that you know what you know?
I think that deal is very, very unique. Those sellers were not as sophisticated. Nick and I actually had a chance to go look at the property prior to putting it under contract. And, what we saw was a land of opportunity when we first visited. We weren't able to go see any of the inside of the units. And, Nick and I, having 6 months of experience, but not actually having, the experience of going through a deal, we assessed it and we thought it was pretty good. But I would say, definitely be more demanding up front about trying to get the right financial documents to actually underwrite before you put something under contract. I think, just like Nick said, there's a lot of different discrepancies that happen with this ownership. And I mean, they gave us a rent roll on the back of a napkin. Like that's no lie. He basically went to his car and he brought it out and he said, "Here's my rent roll." And we said, "Okay, great. Yeah, we'll be in touch." So I think it's just, keeping that clear line of communication open and, using a lawyer from the get-go. We had used a lawyer through the PSA process, but I would even say to maintain communication for any direct-to-seller relationship, it's important to have a good attorney who's going to be in your back court to really solidify, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and what can get you to the finish line.
How do you all prepare for a potential downturn?
So I guess we underwrite pretty conservatively. Like we kind of, I think, was it Rob once said, like we underwrite as if it's always going to be a downturn. So we usually increase cap rates, assuming it's going to be expanding. We increase vacancies, especially during like a lot of these renovations, and honestly, rent bumps have been like slowed down for the first couple of years. So definitely there's a potential for a downturn, especially with the volatility of things like coronavirus, election, and stuff like that. So everyone says they underwrite conservatively, but I guess that's the one way we account for that. Another is that we have a pretty good communication with our investors and what they want, and they're the criteria that they need. So we kind of work with them, see the business plan, and kind of work with our, property managers, investors, and everyone to find the best course moving forward.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add, Whitney, real quick, is that, any deal that does meet our initial underwriting criteria, we immediately bring it to a trusted investor in the market or our in-market team, whether it be our property manager or our experienced attorney, especially in Indianapolis. We're able to walk through and say, hey, is this realistic? What do you think this can be? Because they are on the headline, on the front lines right now, dealing with COVID, dealing with collections, rent issues, maintenance issues. They're the ones who are really getting into the nitty and gritty of things. So hearing their perspective and saying, okay, maybe a $50 rent bump from years 1 to 2 is not possible, but let's do it over 2 years at $25 a year. That's a little bit more doable, in the current market. So, just verifying and being able to backtrack with your team is super important, especially for your in-market team.
Guys, I believe anyone that's successful in this business has a high level of self-discipline. How did you all gain such a high level of self-discipline?
There's a lot from our upbringing. Like, I guess even starting as a child, though, that I come from a first-generation American family. Like, my dad kind of went through the Vietnam War as a refugee and kind of came here by luck, honestly. And just seeing him going from not knowing any English to where he is today, seeing how his hard work kind of like inspired me as a young kid to really make a name for myself. And then add on the military background, went to the Naval Academy. We kind of force discipline on you too. Like you start off as a little plebe where you run around and get yelled at for doing little things wrong. So kind of instilling discipline in you, and I guess in a different way, kind of like the military standards. And then I guess now we get disciplined by, I guess, a mixture of pushing ourselves. Like Hersh is actually my roommate as well, and we get to see each other every day. So I get to push him. He pushes me for doing things like, hey, have you done this yet? And just the fact that we have a good partnership, we could bounce ideas off each other and really help each other out, which I think has been really, really helpful in this business as well.
Yeah. And for me personally, same thing. I was born in India, but moved here when I was 4 months old. And hearing my parents' story, especially my father's, when he moved to the United States with $50 in his pocket and trying to make a name for himself, to the successes that him and my mom have reached today are just tremendous to see. And growing up, they always said, don't take any opportunity for granted. You are in a place where you don't have to walk maybe 50 miles to school every day, or you don't have to go through a lot of hardships that people face in those third world developing countries such as India, Vietnam, wherever it may be. And we're just extremely thankful for the opportunities that we've been presented, and being able to give back and serve. Nick and I are very passionate about that, and that's why we chose to go to the academy and developing our military discipline there, as Whitney. So thank you for your service as well. We appreciate it. And, that is what really set the tone, I think, moving the momentum forward into graduate school, having that, grounded outlook on opportunity perspective. Being in the military has really solidified our position to be able to be self-disciplined and to continue doing what we're doing on top of graduate school and moving on to an active duty career.
Give me a daily habit that you all have that you're disciplined about doing that's helped you achieve success up to this point.
So for me, it's two things. One, I read the Morning Brew and Robin Hood Snacks every day. It's just a really great way for me to get started with my day. Getting a apolitical view of what's happening in the world, whether it's the economic cycle, market trends, or the general outlook of domestic news in the United States. And the other thing I would say is, working out, finding a time to really get active and making sure that you're able to, clear your mind and step away from the world that is virtual now, right? Whether it's your phone, whether it's your computer, whether it's your tablet, whatever people are using nowadays to communicate. It's important that, you aren't sedentary all day. You'll find that a lot of jobs now that people are sitting around and, just doing their thing on their computer. And then, they go to their kitchen, get some food, they come back to their desk working from home. And, that's the extent of how far they go. But I would just say, getting active for 30 to 60 minutes a day and, trying to keep yourself energized through working out is something that I definitely take into account.
Yes. For me, I wake up every day and I have a dog, so I have to take care of her. It kind of motivates me to wake up, I guess, and do something because I have a pretty high active, high energy dog. Hersh probably understands. That dog just says it's full of energy essentially. So you gotta wake up, kind of burn off that energy either through a run or maybe on lazy days just to throw a ball around and really just have that time alone just outside and enjoy my dog, honestly. And I guess I'm also in a long distance relationship, so every morning it's her nighttime. So she finished up work, so I got probably a nice little phone call in the morning. And then kind of just get ready for the day. I look at my calendar, see what I need to get done, and I'll get a little cup of coffee and just start working on, I guess, a little checklist I need to do. It's usually rely back on my time blocks. Hey, so this time, this morning, I got to do this thing. And then in the afternoon, I got to go to the lab and run a boiling experiment for 8 hours or something. And then come back, maybe I'll have a meeting or something like that. It's really just, I guess I have my little morning routine, then maybe hopefully get a workout in later in the day as well. And once I get back, I guess have different meetings. We have weekly meetings with the team, maybe even more often than that, to get ready for this as well.
What's a way you all have recently improved your business that we could apply to ours?
So I would say, streamlining and utilizing technology to the best of its ability, right? A lot of people are caught up in the email meltdown is what I like to call it, right? Everyone is emailing every single thing and they expect you to keep track of, okay, you need to contact this group over here. We have a meeting with this potential partnership over here. We have an investor meeting on this day. I wanted to say that it's extremely important to, make sure you utilize your calendar, have a clear line of communication, whether it be via, iMessage, group chat, GroupMe, WhatsApp, but then also using a software like, Slack or Trello, where you're able to keep track of, the business day-to-day operations, whether it's, looking at, okay, who's taking the forefront on the lending side for this deal, who's taking the forefront on the, getting the property management and setting the walkthroughs on this deal. So I would just say, streamlining your technology use and making sure that you're able to, utilize technology to the best of its offerings is what I would say.
What's your best source for meeting new investors right now?
I'll probably LinkedIn for sure. LinkedIn, Zoom, and meetup.com.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Zoom, and meetup.com, as well as, Nick and I have a little bit of a unique perspective just because, coming from the Naval Academy, we had a lot of buddies, from high school or wherever that we had met in our previous years that are now doing things in normal W-2s. We have friends who are working on Wall Street. We have friends who are doing big tech over in Austin and Tesla. So it's, getting to meet them, learning what they're doing and, potentially teaching them about multifamily. They are busy working professionals now. It's hard to say that as a 23-year-old saying that my friends are like that, but, we've all grown. So, it's also about tapping into our own networks and, preparing for people who are making, who might want to invest, liquid cash in a forefront. So I would say that as well.
How do you all like to give back?
I guess we mentioned the company, we donate proportion back to charities, but I guess Hersh could answer the part of that.
Sure. So, any community that I grew up in or I live in, I really believe in the impact of giving back to that community. So when I came to Purdue initially, I immediately, I have an affinity towards healthcare. My mom is associated with healthcare and medicine, and I have a lot of family members who are as well. And I decided, hey, I want to go volunteer at the local hospital for 3 to 6 hours a week just to give my time back to a community that's given me the opportunity to educate myself and better myself. So, I worked in the ER for 3 to 6 hours a week pre-COVID. Again, they aren't letting anyone in now, just as long as if you're not a licensed hospital employee. But working in the emergency room for 3 to 6 hours a week, taking care of patients, assisting the staff, the nurses, the doctors, the MAs, and whoever else might be there is definitely a very, very humbling thing to see. And being able to give back to the community is super important to us.
Awesome. Guys, thank you all for sharing the way you gave back, and grateful for just giving back today and helping us to think through and realize how you all have even gotten to this first deal, but even going through a deal that didn't make it as well. And it seems, I know at the time, so disappointing, but it sounds like, I just think you all learned so much. It's going to help you all in the future. I know it's hard to see that right now probably, but no doubt my first deal was the worst. And I just think that helped us so much. It was like our own university, I call it. But it helped us so much, moving forward. And I think that deal will do the same for you all. But grateful to have met you all. Thank you again for your service and just your time and with us today. Tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, sure. You could reach us out on LinkedIn. I guess if you look Nicholas Vu. If there's other ones, maybe look up Navy or Purdue as well. But I think you'll be able to find me there.
Yeah, for me, it's Hersh Rai. It'll be in the show notes. I'm the only Hersh Rai on LinkedIn, so shouldn't have any problem finding me. If you can't find Nick, just go through all my connections. You'll find him.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.